Self-doubt, always questioning if you measure up, or believing that you're disqualified. I can remember feeling these things all the time, and occasionally I still do when I forget who I am and what I am called to do. There can be many reasons why we feel this way, but regardless of the root cause, when we don't value who we are and see ourselves as uniquely gifted, we can easily find ourselves stuck when facing challenges and difficulties. This is why knowing who you are is a key to resilience. Hey there, my name is Laura, founder of Hope Made Strong, where we equip you and your ministry team as you support and care for others in your community. Having imposter syndrome or doubting your calling and giftings can be crippling. It can prevent you from growing, making decisions, and moving forward. You can become paralyzed when facing hardship. However, when you know who you are and what your strengths and weaknesses are, you are better equipped to bounce back more quickly when you go through challenges. And that's what resilience is all about, being able to withstand adversity without getting stuck and bouncing back more quickly. Resilience isn't the absence of pain or struggle, it's the ability to come out of a time of suffering quicker and easier, and perhaps even with some growth. There is so much freedom in knowing and being confident in who God made you to be. No one is good at everything. However, we often have the expectation that if God called us to do something, we should be good at all of it. For example, in ministry, it can be tempting to expect yourself to be good or skilled at all aspects of ministry. When you find yourself struggling or not seeing success, it can cause you to doubt your calling or feel inadequate. A thorough study was done by United Methodist Church on clergy effectiveness. They identified the major tasks and activities that make up the work of a pastor and found that there are 13 groups of tasks that are expectations of the role. The job analysis further discovered that there were 64 personal competencies that are required to fulfill these identified tasks. 64! Even the study leader reported that it's almost inconceivable to imagine that a single person could be uniformly high on the 64 distinct knowledge, skills, and abilities for the job. Pastors and leaders often beat themselves up for not excelling at every part of their role and feel like they're failing. There's a temptation to have all or nothing thinking. If you can't be great at everything, then you're a failure at everything. And that just isn't true. But I too have felt like this. And I know that I have been called to support ministry leaders in caring for the communities. But there are aspects of this role that I'm just not good at. And like many of you, I have been tempted to doubt my calling. However, one of the keys to resilience is knowing who you are. This includes knowing who you are in Christ and as being more than a conqueror, knowing your strengths and knowing your weaknesses. It's impossible to be good at everything, but knowing who you are and the gifts that you have can prevent you from getting stuck as you focus on what you can do. In your role as a supporter, you're offering support and encouraging people's strengths, and it's likely that you have noticed the same trend that I have. When you remind people of their strengths, you often immediately hear, "yeah, but," as people dismiss their calling, strengths, and giftings. People tend to minimize this type of encouragement. And as frustrating as it is, we can all relate. We've all done this. We dismiss the obvious positive strengths and focus on the negatives and the weaknesses. So how do we encourage others to see who they are and build resilience? Well, here are 5 ways that you can encourage someone to begin to see who they are and to build resilience. You can share with them a story of how their giftings positively impacted someone else. It can be how their friendliness welcomed a new family to church, or how their skills help keep the church functioning, or perhaps how they support their family. People often don't see the impact of their giftings unless it's pointed out to them. Number 2, you can validate and uplift their uniqueness. If someone is different, they can see it as a weakness or a problem. Like if it's a male who is really great with kids or a woman who has entrepreneurial giftings. It can be challenging for that person to see those as giftings because they differ from the norm. As a supporter, encourage them to use those gifts and not smother them. Number 3, you can encourage others to write a note of encouragement. We all receive encouragement differently, and receiving words of affirmation through notes, cards, or letters may offer a huge impact. Number 4, identify their strengths. It wasn't until I was in my mid-30s that I discovered that I was skilled at project management. I had no idea this was something I was gifted in until I took that assessment. As a result, I received certification in project management, and it changed the course of my career. Sometimes there are hidden giftings that we just don't know about. In the show notes below, there is a link to a Strengths Finder assessment. It is free and it can be very valuable in how someone sees themselves. And finally, number 5, share scriptures reminding them of their intentional creation. There is a download of a list of scriptures in the show notes that identify that those you're supporting are made intentionally. God has a plan and purpose for every gift and strength that they have, and He did not make a mistake when creating them. When we're struggling with our purpose, we don't see ourselves as valuable or skilled. It can become easy for us to get stuck when we're struggling. By regularly reminding ourselves of who we are in Christ, that we were created uniquely on purpose, and that we have gifts and strengths, we build resilience to bounce back more quickly from hardship. If you'd like to hear more about the other 6 keys to resilience, check out the blog at hopemadestrong.org or subscribe and be notified when videos are posted. Thanks for connecting and take care.